Hi everyone, my name is Claire and I make videos on true crime every week, so if that is your thing, please come and join me. Last week was a really heavy case. It was a really gruesome double murder. So this week I've gone a wee bit lighter. I mean, it's still a true crime video, but just no one dies in this one. That's not with lack of trying. But this one is the case of Thomas Kwan. Thomas Kwan was 53 at the time of this crime. He actually was born in Hong Kong and he came over to the UK at the age of 13. And he came over to attend boarding school. So he had his formal education in the UK and then he went on to go to the University of Newcastle to study medicine. Thomas became a GP, a general practitioner, so he's just like your regular kind of family doctor, I guess you would call them. So he did that and he worked in a practice called Happy House Surgery. I don't know why, I really like the name of that doctor's. But this was in Sunderland, which is kind of north of England. By all accounts, he was a really good doctor. Everybody said he was a decent guy, a kind of normal guy. His personal life, he had a wife and a child. Not really much else is known about them and about his private life really, but from looking from the outside, he was pretty normal, but behind closed doors, everybody knows that's usually not the case. Behind closed doors, Thomas was actually storing huge amounts of chemicals. He specifically was storing things like arsenic and liquid mercury, and he had all the components to make ricin. So all these things are used for poisoning people. I mean, you generally would hear about ricin talked in the context of like biological warfare. So some serious shit we're talking about here. We've gathered that Thomas wasn't your kind of regular GP. He also had a fascination, or probably more like an obsession, with money. Now, as a doctor, Thomas earned a really good wage. He wasn't shy of a couple of bob. He lived in a really nice house. It was valued at £400,000, and this was in Teesside, in a really nice place in England, and he lived really comfortably. I also read that he'd just put an offer in on a £2 million house in the south of England, so he was definitely doing more than okay. Thomas's father passed away quite some time ago and he received an inheritance from his father. I couldn't find out exactly how much that was, but I'm sure it wasn't an insignificant amount. But this has been said to have caused a rift between him and his siblings, all because he thought he deserved more. So much so that Thomas had forged lawyers' letters and threatened his siblings to try and get what he saw was rightfully his. So he's sounding a little bit crazy. I mean, that's not even the half of it. After these inheritance issues with his siblings, I think it sounds like he had sisters, because he's said to have had a really dysfunctional relationship with his mother. He felt that he'd not been treated the way that a son should be treated, or in his words, the way that a son should be entitled to be treated. I mean, whatever that means. Thomas also gave his mother a computer, a PC, in the kind of early 2000s. He got this PC, set it up for her so that she could do, any financial stuff on the PC. She could do some work. She could also do a wee spot shopping if she wanted to. So sounds like a really nice thing for a son to do for his mother, doesn't it? But little did she know, Thomas had fitted this PC with spyware so that he could keep tabs on all her financial transactions that she was carrying out on this computer. I mean, that is just not a trusting son-mother relationship. I mean, things are just not right with him. So that gives us a little bit of background into Thomas, and it leads us on perfectly to today's case. Thomas's mother, her name was Wei King Lung, and she was also known as Jenny Lung. She lived in a really nice house in Newcastle, and she lived with her partner. His name was Patrick O'Hara. He was 71 years old. Now, this wasn't a new relationship, a new fling or anything like that. They had been together for 21 years, so they were committed to each other. And she, because of that, she decided in 2021 to add Patrick onto her will and to leave him a share of her home should anything happen to her. Now, Thomas was also named in this will, and he was going to get, if anything happened to his mother, he was going to get 45% of her considerable estate. Now, that's including the really nice house that she lived in Newcastle, but that was only part of it. She actually had quite a considerable estate. So Thomas was going to get quite a fair whack if anything happened to her. And was that enough for Thomas? Nope. This is when Thomas started planning his revenge. Now, Thomas didn't rush into anything. Thomas decided to take his time. He would plan everything. He'd let the juices flow, let ideas come, and meticulously plan every single detail so that everything that happened the way he wanted it to. I mean, because I'm talking about this today, it probably means that it didn't go all his way. So Thomas's plan, what did he end up doing? Let me tell you. It started with a letter. This letter was sent to his mother's house, to Patrick O'Hara, who they were living together, so sent to him, informing him that he was due his COVID booster and his flu jab. That's just a regular letter you get, not a problem. This letter, and I'll show you on the screen just now so you can see it, it was so professional looking. He must have used all his experience and his skills from working in a GP surgery, and he's mocked up this letter to inform Patrick that he would receive his home visit to get these shots that he required. It provided Patrick with a date and a time, and with all the relevant information that you would expect to get on an NHS letter. It looked so professional. Now, you might be wondering, how could Thomas go and give Patrick a booster and his flu shot if, Patrick knew what he looked like? They were essentially family. They'd known each other for so long. And this is where Thomas's master plan comes in. Thomas started by driving through to Newcastle the day before the planned appointment. He drove through with fake registration plates on his car. He checked in to a hotel, a local hotel, and this was under a fake name. And in the CCTV from the hotel, he's seen wearing a mask to kind of hide his identity. And then he also, get this, bought some fake tan. He got himself a wig. He got himself a fake moustache and a fake little goatee thing, and this was his plan. His plan was to disguise himself and to go in to this appointment dressed up. He completely changed how he looked, changed his glasses, changed everything, and wore a surgical mask, dressed up in a nurse's outfit in order to carry out this horrendous crime. He went to his mother's house on the specified date and he got in without being recognised. He introduced himself as Raj Patel. He actually had an ID badge that he'd mocked up for the occasion, so everything looked really professional. I mean, he'd thought of everything. So Raj Patel went in and started to conduct this home visit. He was in the house for 45 minutes. And in that time, he carried out blood checks on Patrick. He carried out some surveys to make sure he was doing okay. And then finally, he gave him these injections. Now, you've probably guessed it. This was not a flu shot or a COVID shot that he was getting injected with. Thomas injected Patrick with a toxin which was believed to be a pesticide called iodomethane, and this is horrific. As soon as Patrick got the injection in his arm, he said he felt excruciating pain, and he said this to Raj Patel, and he explained this away by saying that he was having an allergic reaction to the booster jab. And you know, Patrick, he trusted him. I mean, why wouldn't you? You trust people in that kind of you know, healthcare capacity, don't you? So after he got this injection, after Raj Patel gave him the injection, he left the house really quickly, and Patrick was still in a lot of pain. Patrick pretty quickly realised that something was not right, and Jenny, Thomas's mother, she kind of said something that made Patrick become suspicious. She said that nurse was actually the exact same height as my son. So Patrick got himself down to his local GPs and they got him straight off to hospital. And Patrick had to end up spending 5 weeks in hospital. During that time, the doctors had to cut away large pieces of flesh on his arm to try and stop the spread of a flesh-eating disease that he had contracted when he got given these injections by Thomas Kwan. Patrick went through multiple skin grafts on his arm, and that has resulted in him requiring ongoing physiotherapy. He also suffered from post-traumatic stress from the incident. Now, he talks really well about the effects that this has had on him, the effects that somebody that he considered family could have betrayed him like that and done that to him. That's really destroyed him and left him feeling like a shell of his previous person. And I'll put this in here that his relationship with Jenny, Thomas's mother, has completely broken down. Kwan, he was quickly arrested after this, and the police conducted a search in his home. During that search, they found the huge variety of chemicals that he had been amassing in his garage. They think he was doing this so that he could test things out and try and figure out what the best one would be to use to poison someone. His crime soon began to unravel with the help of CCTV and, you know, good old police work. And everybody was all set to go to trial for this. But on the first day, Thomas pled guilty to attempted murder. This is such a relief for Patrick and his family not having to get put through a trial, which can be horrendous. There's more evidence of Thomas's distorted views from the letters that he's written from prison to his wife. There's one of them where he bemoaned the possibility that Patrick O'Hara would receive any kind of compensation from this crime that he committed against him. He actually said, "One old man's compensation for 3 young lives ruined. Where's the justice in that?" This is meaning him, his wife and his child's lives ruined, and Patrick would get compensation because of what happened to him. I mean, yeah, of course. You have done this to yourself. You have ruined your wife's life, your child's life, and you have got yourself in prison because of what you did. He completely doesn't understand that this is his fault. He has no understanding of the gravity of his actions. Like, he almost killed a man and he is moaning because this person is going to get compensation for what you did to them. I mean, you can't have a conversation with somebody like that. After all this, the sentencing came up, and at the sentencing, the judge had some choice words for Thomas. He said that, the judge said that Thomas showed a shocking level of distorted thinking, distinct sense of entitlement and the capacity for the most extreme behaviour in order to meet your own needs. And after this, Thomas was sentenced to 31 years and 5 months in prison. This is an absolutely unbelievable sentence for attempted murder. I have done multiple cases where people that actually commit murder have got lesser sentences. That's not saying that Thomas doesn't deserve his sentence. I think he does, because he's destroyed somebody's life. So yeah, absolutely great outcome for Patrick and for his family, and I hope that Patrick can sleep a bit easier knowing that Thomas will not be able to hurt him where he is. This is such a senseless crime, and it's all carried out for the reason of greed. Thomas just didn't. Thought he was so deserving of more, and he just wasn't. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, my name is Claire and I make true crime videos every week. So if you liked it, please come and join me, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.